and we have our structure now. And in our structure we see some updates we updating later or something, and now we already implemented tool and pencil, eraser, magnifier, and paint object. But in paint object we implemented only a single list of tools. Maybe we need to implement shapes, for example. Oh, it's updating views. If we need to implement shapes, we should create new shape class. And it will be, or just copying that, we creating our shapes. And I would like to show the abstraction or abstract class, because paint is just some class which is program. Save changes. Okay. Or shapes, it's not the shapes but shape. It's single shape, and when you're creating some list of shapes, the rest it will be the shape lists, like here. And instead of list, we just say that vector from shape. Basically list of shapes. And in shape class, basically what we need to know, maybe color. We're able to say the string color, just some parameter color, for example. Each shape has color. Each shape should have ability to draw, because when we opening our shape list, we're able to draw that shape, as you see. Doesn't matter which shape we have, we're able to draw that shape on our paper. And string color, list shapes, list colors. Okay, we need our abstract function, which is virtual function inside that C++ language, like virtual function draw, for example. And there is options. You're able to create abstraction in separate class. And if you're using the same class like draw in as you see here, now I will show why we need it. I don't know it's the correct way to explain that abstraction, but here it doesn't matter. As you see, we also have draw in our pencil class. But if we would like to have the same virtual function to separate to share between two classes. Of course, when you're creating separate class for that reason, for example, for drawing, so maybe it creates some not really great visual representation of your software program. Maybe you need to create separate, but for example, I will show that you're able to do like this. Like me now, how I will display that. I know how to explain that. We have separate class, which is some interface or abstract class. Because C++ doesn't have interfaces, other classes has interfaces. And interface basically it's abstract class. Because the C++ language able to have multiple inheritance, that means one class able to extend few classes, like tool maybe able to extend, for example, pencil able to extend also paint class or any class or multiple classes. For that reason, there is no term or there is no syntax for interface. Other languages like C++ have C# or Java has interfaces. In C++ world, you don't need to have separate classes like interface. You need to have only abstract class and you're able to inherit multiple classes. And for that reason, you're just creating new type or new class, which is called interaction, not interaction, maybe. What is a draw? Draw. Maybe I'll find in translate also, or maybe it's okay here. Bigs mass action, actions. And click and draw and so on. It's not, maybe it's similar to action. Draw it's action because you need to create class name which is abstract also. Shape shape class is also abstract. But we need to create, for example, action. And why we need that action? Because we able to split our implementation and share the same code. And here, if you're creating shape as abstract, which is equals 0 as a syntax, you're able to say that, like action, and class shape extends action, and basically it gets by default that abstract action. And pencil able to extend also from action. Those lines, it's not so nice. I need to fix that. This one. How to draw it nice. Just new line. Eraser is also tool. Magnifier also tool. Paint object, basically it's not dependent on any, there is no dependencies on that. And basically when you have shape, paint has only composition, which means like paint has shapes, paint has tools. There is some dependency, but in schema it's maybe it's dot dashed line, like shape and tool also. There is some dependencies because it has or when you inheriting you say is, like object is action, like shape is action, or pencil is tool, text is tool, and when you're reading as inheritance, it says that eraser is tool, magnifier is tool, and so on. Or when you have shape and you have paint object, it says that paint has tool. Paint has like composition, but dependency only that you're adding inside or integrating in your object. That list. Or inherit, that means it like is the same as a tool. Pencil is a tool, that means the pencil is the same type of tool. Pencil is tool type, and if you say that pencil action, it's also action type. And shape is also action type. Basically able to create same list of actions. If different separate object has same type, like shape is action and pencil action, you're able to put to that list. For example, if that here is a game object and those object tables to draw, that means you're able to do something with those objects, like to draw, to make some action. I don't know, is it clear for you to understand?
Yes.
It's like you have types. And when we have like pencil action, shape action, we should implement in our project. And we already implemented tools. We should implement now new class shape. And we should implement also, or we should create new directory like shapes, for example. And we dragging here. Oh, selected all that. Refactor. We open our shapes. In our shapes, we have main class shape. We should create our class. We don't need C++ implementation for that class because we have only the single method draw. We enough to create header only. And here will be action. Action. And we able to create more classes like shapes. Oh, we should find shape list. Shapes, pentagon, hexagon. Okay, we should create some, for example, hexagon, pentagon, and so on. You're able to create a list of those objects. And now we know that action type also should be implemented in pencil in our tool. How to make that? We should go, should move to that class pencil and add separator public action. No. We including our shapes action class. That means in our class we overriding our draw method because we doesn't have it here, sorry. We say that our pencil is action also the same type, but we should implement all abstract functions which is not already added. We should add some functions. Void, or virtual void draw. equals 0 because we don't know how to implement that. We just say in our type, in our class action will be some draw method, but I don't know how to implement that. And I give that for other class to say that, how to implement that. Of course, you're able to create virtual like this, but then you should implement the first basic functionality. Like you should implement something and add like drawing. See out like drawing, like default behavior. If we doesn't know default behavior of action, because action maybe will be draw different, or on click action. For buttons, it's best class maybe action for buttons, or for text fields like to on action, like abstract stuff. And here, if we don't know the implementation, we just say equals 0. Because if we not writing here 0, we should implement that. It says function draw is not implemented. We should say equals 0, which says that here's abstract function. And now in our pencil, we should mark it overriding, like override. Override means we implementing our draw inside that class, which is marked as at final draw implementation here. And it says that we overriding our draw from action class. And basically what you need to change nothing here, because we don't need to write override inside that C++ file. Basically we have the same structure, but we have a separate class connected, like action class to pencil class, and we're using draw. And it's really small changes here. And here say that pencil is tool and action, or pencil is pencil type, tool type, and action type. Because we implemented our draw, that means we also able to say that we are action. In our other classes, like shape, all shapes has action. We should say that hexagon, or not, sorry, we instead of I should write those shapes. Hexagon and pentagon. Shape has color and draw, maybe so simple ones. And each instance should have different functionality for pentagon and hexagon. Basically we are connecting to our shape, and pentagon we also connecting to that. If you're connecting to shape, you don't need to say that each shape should implement draw function, because we connected action. That means when you're inheriting, you're automatically inheriting from parent. And in our case, parent also is a shape which is extending from action. And it automatically extending from other parent, like those child classes. Instead of say that, oh, pentagon needs to draw like this and here, to inherit from action, you're able to inherit from shape, and shape able to inherit from action, and automatically you move down all rules for those classes. Also should inherit from action, or should implement that draw. And yeah, maybe we should create for shape also name and color. And here we should also create constructor, like which when you're creating shape with name and color. And now we should add our string name, string color, and here we should hire stream, adding alt insert constructor. Instead of writing code, I'm just using automatically generated constructor. Alt insert and click constructor. Picking both fields and adding here. And now we should adding all to get parameters. Alt insert getter. Both. Get name, get color. And we need to read properties for getters. We need shape, and we should say that here is shape is extending public action. We should import the action class. And when you say like this, you should also override function draw. Or if you don't know how to implement draw, we just not implementing now, you leaving like this. And when you're moving to the pentagon and hexagon, and you say we extending our shape, that means you should override something. There is some override functions. Draw. And the hexagon able to implement our draw functionality. Hexagon is drawing. Basically able to create some 2D library, to add some 2D library to draw some hexagon, for example. Or to implement how it's drawing. I'm just writing printf. Hexagon is drawing. And now we should also do the same with constructor. It's automatically adds. Because we need a copy constructor which is points to our parent class shape. We don't need to create multiple copies of constructor, but we making our copy constructor, the reference to shape class constructor. And now we adding the same to our public shape. And we also using constructor and alt insert override functions. Draw. Cout pentagon is drawing. Yeah, we have separate functionality. In our pencil we have draw, and we have in pentagon also draw. And now in our main, we're able to create new objects. Hexagon. Hexagon. Red. And for example, pentagon. Pentagon. Blue. Static information. And now when you have a hexagon pentagon, you're able to call some functions. Say like hexagon, draw, pentagon, draw. And when you're running, you get some info. Hexagon is drawing, pentagon is drawing. Able to just see out, oh, here something. New line. We're just checking functionality like pentagon and hexagon is drawing. And when we have action class added, we're able to try to add 3 different objects like pencil, hexagon, pentagon, because is the same type. For example, we're able to create vector of action. Actions. And in actions, you're able to put place back, hexagon, pentagon, pencil, pentagon. And as you see here, we're able to add those pencil, hexagon and pentagon because here is the same type of action. And now you're able to just call it for loop and for example action, actions, and just call it, maybe I should create auto action. Why it's not working? It's abstract class. Yeah, with abstract class we should use references instead of object, because it's abstract, it's not implemented yet. How to fix that? Can we make pointer or ampersand here? I'm not sure, I'm just testing now. Pointer. Arrow for dynamic pointer. Is it possible to make some iteration? Actions, is it? If we're adding like this, I will try. And I'm not sure how to fix that with abstract class at the moment. Maybe like this. As the action pointer. Because the problem is when you have abstract objects, you're not able to it without implementation. And to get implementation, you need to implement something. And our implementation is in our hexagon, pentagon, and pencil classes, in the child classes. And we're not able to create the list of abstract classes. We should point to some implemented classes. And basically our parameter is pointer to those implementations. But I'm not sure is it working like this straightforward or not. We need test. A.draw. To see is it working. No, we should initialize. Oh, maybe we should add the reference. Is it any difference? Yeah, as you see, of course, here is really strange stuff, but in C++, because pointers exist, we able to give the address of object, and instead of creating our action type list or vector, because the action is abstract and there is no functionality or implementation, for that reason we should redirect to that implementation. In other languages it's more clear to understand that how it redirects to that, but here we passing and place back our ampersand, which means we passing address, and then we know that we holding addresses because we adding pointer of action, and for that reason we able to make like this. If we adding ampersand, it's not possible because we should give yeah, it's not correct way to make that, to hold addresses here. Here we say that we holding addresses of action, or here we passing instead of instance or instance reference, we passing address of instance. A reference and address, it's really strange stuff in different contexts. It's a different meaning. Ampersand basically say that here is the address of object, hexagon, pentagon, and so on in memory. because we created without dynamic memory. If we creating like hexagon using pointers equals new hexagon blue, and it will be much easier, like, and place back hex, as you see here. And if you avoid to use pointers, then you should write like this ampersand here. But you still need to create address list of action if you'd like work with actions. Or if you're creating using dynamic memory like here, then you're able to straightforward add that object and you don't need ampersand. The rest two options. And then you printing and calling that function, or you're able to working like drawing or then animating or something. Like you see hexagon, hexagon, pencil, and pentagon. Okay, do you have any questions or you would like to do some more stuff?
No questions.
Maybe you have idea what we need to add more in our paint. No suggestions?
No, maybe a filter or something, but I mean, just bare bones, so I don't think there's much to add.
Just fill option. Maybe, I don't know if everyone is using CLion. I would like, or I suggest to add it, for example, 2D library to our program, for example. We're able to add it SFML super fast media library, for example. Simple fast, which is allows to draw something in 2D in 2D graphic. Maybe later we then, instead of the writing text, we able to just draw something. Like, I don't know, is it okay for you or it's too hard?
Yeah, that would be nice to know.
If I show how to add 2D, or it's okay for everyone? I have the repository already added the code how to add to CLion. And basically I able to download that code or show as example, and later I move that code to our shape paint custom program. Because I prepared for CLion, it's not that name is different, but it's snake example. But it's not snake example. It's just starter code. And I'm just adding from commit, from git, clone, desktop. Why I added this project? Because some students asking how to configure, and I added all stuff inside single repository, which is not great when you're creating your software. You should add compiler not in the same project. Compiler is like 400 megabytes. Yeah. And SFML compiler, when you're downloading from Snake example, you should add to somewhere else in your system. Like you just able to copy, and I will add it, for example, to my computer D, and I able to add here. It's like 400 megabytes, a lot. And basically when you're running your software, you're automatically indexing and loading all files. It's useless for that reason to get it in the same repository. But I added only for that all students able to download single package and then able to split it in any system places. And basically I able to configure Snake example to run and show how it works. Here is only single shape drawing using the game loop, and when Windows open I explain how it works and what you need to configure. First you should configure file settings. You should pick your build execution or write tool chains. Basically it's a compiler, and you should add, if there is no compilers, you should add plus and min.gv. And min.gv will be our new compiler, which is SFML compiler. Oh, sorry, I should open again. Toolchains, you're able to add as many as you needed compilers, different types like remote compiler, Visual Studio, Cygwin, min.gv, and so on. SFML library using min.gv. Then you should find your compiler in your location, like in D. I added in disk D here, and you should pick min.gv64. And if shows the green ticks, it's everything fine, our path, and you should move up. Because we have default Visual Studio compiler, now we're using SFML compiler. And it's configuring. After finish that process, basically we're able to delete that when we copying that. Or maybe already has that. Yeah, we just copying all compiler stuff. We able to remove that compiler then, and we adding to our tool chains. As you see, compiler and path to disk instead of our project. Next goal, basically it's all implemented inside the CMake list.txt. CMake system helps you to automatically configure a project. Here is already configured, but in our paint tool it's not configured. Later we will add the same functionality to our tool. And if it works, you should run your system and to see window with our object drawn. And here is basically there is render system or render engine which is rendering our program, some 2D graphics. How it works? Basically, you need to understand the structure. There is include graphics. There is a render window, size of your window, for example, 800 on 600. There is objects. For example, SV, it creates circle. Fill color red. And there is some game loop and events, handle events from keyboard and mouse. And here, when you're clicking keyboard, you're able to do something. If you have mouse events, you're able to call mouse events also. Window clear, basically it's rendering each frame, it's clearing window. You're able to change to blue, for example, to see different window render. It's like each frame is updating to blue color. But blue is too much for us. Black is better. And after clearing, you should rendering your objects. Draw a circle and display object. Basically, you just rendering that window. Display is displaying your rendered objects, like draw a circle. And pretty much it here how it works. You need the main loop or game loop calls. You need events loop, just adding some events like as a mouse and so on. And basically you're able to find documentation here. There is API docs. Classes, mouse, and so on. It's objects. If you need to learn, you say tutorials. And here you will find getting started, Visual Studio, Code Blocks, Linux, Xcode, SFML, CMake. We're using CMake. You're able to add modules like module as handling time. Window module is keyboard mouse. Graphics modules drawing, audio, and network module. Basically, it's prepared your functionality functions. You need to just use it. Any questions?
No. I don't know about everyone else though. You know, I need to find it before I get to question.
Okay. Yeah. SFML is simple, fast media library. Basically, when you're creating some media. And it's really easy to understand and easiest library which I know in C world. I don't know. There is some SDL also, but it's harder to configure for me. If you need to handle events, you're looking keyboard, mouse, and joysticks. And it says keyboard if as keyboard is key pressed left, you just character moved. We just copying that and adding to our window handle event. Here, as you see, there is some if statement, which is a really long one. You're able to read it here like this. Basically is the single line. Why it's added like this? Because it's really long. When you press escape, you're closing window. Window is our main window. That's it. If you have a keyboard this key pressed left, we should, for example, see out or just move object left. If you have shape, circle shape, you're able to move shape to or right maybe. Right, we should move circle shape, move, and enable pass parameters float x and y or vector like object like 1.0f and 0.0f. Why we say 0.0 y position or coordinate? Because we're not moving. When we moving right, we just moving x. Oh, we should we should holding because it's really small. As you see, we're moving a bit. If you need the more, we should add 10, for example. It's offset, but not we holding, we're moving faster because we're moving, but we're not moving back. Basically, you're able to implement else if, and basically we're copying left. And to move left, we need to circle move circle move minus each click. And as you see, we're moving forward and backward. And here is on click. You're able, of course, to make logic move automatically when you're not pressing, just moving forward and backward with some delay. And here you're able to just mouse click. We're able to add if mouse click is button pressed left, we should set to some position our circle. And here we're able to find mouse position. There is two types of scopes, like origin and relative, maybe. Like you're able to get position mouse from your screen, any place, or from that window in which you're looking for. Better we looking for in window. And we need local position. Oh, we able to add here, sorry, inside that. We getting window position for mouse, like X and Y coordinates. And you able to say circle shape, set position, and pass vector. Instead of passing X and Y, you're able to passing our mouse position. Set. Move, sorry, move, sorry. We should move our object. Here's two different. We have integer, but we should convert to. We should pass not integer here. We should pass float. Is it possible to convert a float? Nope. No. Okay, it's really hard to make that. Then we should get x and local position y. What does say that? Yeah, here when you see different types, you should to convert that, because we passing integer instead of float, we should convert to integer or to vector. Here is not a big problem. We're able to write it like float and to convert to float. Because vector I returns our position as integer vector. And we passing x and y coordinates, which is integer, and we should pass the circle move as a float. Here we need to convert to float. Oh. Why it's not working now? It's showing. Maybe we should move from here. Initialize in different position. Okay, we need to think where we should implement or create that get position. On click, we should get position. Okay. After we moving shape, it's in different position. I don't know why it's not working. Okay, it's now here. It's working strange because it's not resetting our position. Maybe we should create position at the top. And then we should change reference. Maybe we should set mouse position also, because we need to update our mouse position. Yeah, when we set mouse position, we should add our local position. Maybe it's really strange, but maybe it works. No. When we hitting our, okay, we move that. or is... I'm not sure now why it's not working, because we just, when we're pressing left button, we should get position, and we set move circle to that position. Oh, maybe we should update our mouse. It was, I forgot how to write update set mouse. SFML mouse. Set position, we should update with new position, which is circle. Shape. Get position. Float. And circle. Get position. Y. No. Okay, we should pass float. Or we got float from here. We got float from here, but we need integer. It's really, I don't know, here is really strange implementation when we have integer at all in that position. Ah, we should pass vector. Okay. I will fix it in somehow. Okay, we need set position to pass our circle position. We need vector to I and position. We need to create our vector as a vector to I integer. That means we creating our vector, which is holds integer object, like vector or circle position. Why it's red? To I. Const sv vector and I'm just testing, maybe it works window. Oh, but it's add mouse to, I don't know, wrong place. Okay. Set current position of the mouse either relative to desktop or window. Global mouse position, local mouse to window. We have local. local position get position window. Yeah. And later we moving our shape to some position. To mouse cursor for a position. And then when we click button on different area, I know is it why we need to update at all that. It's really strange working. Okay, maybe I will fix that later in future. I will show how to do that, and instead of this, maybe I will add this library to our other paint tool program, and later we try to research something. How to add it? It's really not so hard. We need copy CMake modules. CMake modules and adding to parent directory. Here is basically script for all operating systems. Script to make it work in CMake. Linux, Mac and Windows. And SFML, you need that compiler for your to add to some system to computer. I'm not adding to tool at the moment, or you just download from Snake example. I will add link to main maybe, we're able to find in our. Here we're able to clone download zip and copy that compiler to your own personal place, not in project, because it's too much for your project. In Paint Custom Tool, I will add, here is link for example, CLion SFML library. Compiler move to other PC place. Other folders move to your project. Update CMake lists txt file. Add some code, some text from example. Here is Snake example. Here is library. Learn. Here is in Paint Custom Tool. Here you'll find that materials. And now we should look to our Snake example, CMake list txt. Basically here is the same, but you need to add those lines. Copy and pasting to CMake list txt. Not Snake, but to our Paint Custom Tool. And here you see 1, 2, 3, 4 lines is the same. But here you should place more lines like static, static add executable we should delete because we already has here, or we able just move that add executable to that place. I think that's not, there is no difference, but it should work. Yeah. And here's updated module for your changes. You should enable auto or reload changes. When we updating, next step is to test is it work or not. How to test? First you should include library. Oh, I forgot, we should add library. From Snake example you should copy SFML 2.2. Copy. Here is a library, here is compiler for that library. Because different libraries maybe use different compilers. And here we should paste our also SFML library. Because when we're working we need the files, or of course you're able to place the library also in separate place. But I think that it's not so much, we just adding to the same project. Add. Here is basically you'll find examples also. OpenGL, you're able to use it. So on. Now we should include our SFML graphics HTTP. And I'm not sure, maybe it's not like this, it should be like this. File not found. Okay, we should look here, Snake example. Main. Oh, we don't need quotes. Okay, we just copying that, include. Graphics. We just need to run it and test it. I don't know why it's red. Maybe when we start using it should work. Basically when you're adding library, like you should compile that files, compile those files. And maybe for that reason it's not working. Here is default script. Here is root place. That means in your project you should add a library path, correct path. And maybe we forgot to add library compiling, because when you're using library you should compile in add executable. I'm not guarantee, but no, we don't need separate because we're compiling other place like here. Okay. What else we need? Maybe we should just add example and try to run it from Snake example. Our render function. I know that problem. When you changing projects, you should change your compiler. File settings, tool chains, or maybe it's already changed, I don't know. Yeah, it's already changed. Okay, we able to reload. Oh, we should reload only file. Yeah, you need to reload file when you're making some changes, you should reload that CMake file, or also that file if you find CMake. And when you're reloading, you see that included already here. And now when we paste in code, running program, while we should copy better Windows. Oh, maybe we forgot bracket. Bracket between before return. Yeah, for that. And I'm just copying and closing that, pasting here. Now we have same functionality, but it's of course not working because our object, I don't know, working strange, but you're able to test it later if you would like. I'm just adding starter code. Basically, when you're drawing something, you should add after clear screen, and here is rendering stuff, rendering object place. Display to display those objects rendered, and here is clear to update screen. Or here you're handling events between that interval. Or here is game loop, which is infinity loop when window is open to render objects. And here we're able to create objects, like to create windows, to create objects, circle shapes, and so on. And you will find more in tutorial section, like how to draw shapes, how to draw outlines, add textures, rectangle, for example, draw sizes, multiple shapes, able to work with objects. Basically objects, it's easier to understand instead see out. Just draw object, move object, and so on. It's easier to understand object-oriented programming because here you're using libraries to work with objects. And later, next lecture, maybe we try to do something with Paint or use that library for Paint, but not create the Paint tool, but create similar to Paint functionality, or use that classes from Shape and Tools to draw something on some place. Maybe we create draw tool like this, like we have some list, we pick and we just draw something, or without the drawing like lines and so on. We just try that later. And now I updating that project then to Git. Oh, why it's not updated? Commit. First commit. I don't know, do you have that link for this project or not? In Teams, I forget.
I think we do. Yeah, I think we do.
There is structured programming is Paint cost. Oh, we here. Okay. Yeah, you will find updated version. Oh, it's not updated yet. 7 days ago. Oh, it's still pushing because we have 700 objects. It's a lot. Yeah, maybe there is possibility not move all code like libraries inside Git, because now really strange. When it has also compiler, then you should wait, I don't know, 30 minutes or I don't know, to push that to update project. It's really hard. Better maybe move that library, or when you download once, you just not updating library to Git. Yeah. First time you should wait a lot. But if you would like, you're able to place your library also in the same place in where is compiler, and to change a single file, CMake-list.txt, the path to your location of library and compiler also. For compiler, you need go to file settings. For library folder, you're able to place in any place and add path to your computer path in system. Yeah, maybe I leave that like this and wait when it's finished, and later able to download and see changes, or to try to make it work in your project, to make it work your that screen to open and library. Like, and if you're interesting, you're able to do something with tutorial, how to draw something, and maybe you use that library for your final task or for other tasks also.